Hello everyone. We are back with another inspiring episode of Voice It. Today we have Mr. Nandakishore Harikumar, who is the CEO of Technisang. Hello sir, welcome.
Thank you, Akash.
So let's go towards the our first question. We would like to know more about your startup that is Technisang, the services it provides, and who are the target clients.
So we are a cybersecurity and a big data startup. We use artificial intelligence to monitor threats. To be more specific, it was started in 2018 February. I was into cybersecurity since last 4 or 5 years. I have co-founded another cybersecurity startup called SecLabs and Systems, which was based out of Noida, the Delhi NCR. So we were providing services to the government of India. Government of India was a vendor. We were a vendor to the government of India. So based on the knowledge we gathered, we thought of venturing into another startup which services the corporate industry because the big market always lies in the corporate world. So we understood that there are a lot of threats that remains untapped because conventional threat hunting has its own limitations. So new innovations should come up in this industry to ensure that all the kinds of threats are monitored. So that is how we started the company in 2018. Then we thought of venturing into service industry because every organization needs some kind of a funding. So we thought of continuing our services to corporates. So as any other cybersecurity company, we started offering the normal cybersecurity services like WAPT and all these kind of services. Then maybe after 6 to 7 months, we thought of working on a product. Even the plans were their pre-company stage. Then we came up with this idea of Integrity, a SaaS-based a digital risk monitor that tracks threats from different perspective, which always goes unnoticed, which is always ignored in the due course of a normal cyber security audit. So the initial theme of Integrity was mostly like a tool that will monitor the negative campaigns, or like, let's say, negative trend against a brand, an attack, a misinformation campaign that happens against a brand. But misinformation is a main problem these days because a lot of fake news keep on coming, which affects major brands. But unluckily, we were not able to really succeed in bringing technology or incorporating technology or equip the use of artificial intelligence in countering these kind of fake narratives, because it's a long journey. We understood that even heavily funded startup find it really hard to use artificial intelligence or machine learning to really identify fake news from this kind of a lot of content that we pass on. That's how we came up with a bit of pivoting, because we believe that pivoting is much needed in startup industry. So that's how we came up with this concept of a pure digital risk monitor that could identify the risk that always goes unnoticed, which can really result in a data breach or any kind of financial or legal loss to a brand.
Yes, sir. That's actually really a good, interesting fact. Like, especially in the current, we can say, situation where a lot of cybersecurity threats happen. So that was a really inspired one. We can say that you had took an action in. Like, especially in the current scenarios, what we see is like a lot of cyber problems are occurring, especially these days. So it's really good to provide us such type of solution.
Yes, you are right. Because I see most of the business that have gone online during this COVID time, it has gone with much less preparedness, because we were forced into a situation the world has never seen into. Maybe anyone who is leaving, maybe 0.1% has only seen a flu that has happened in 1920 or 1918. Otherwise, no one who is living in this world now has not came across such kind of a situation. So World War was another situation where we were not actually affected, and the world was actually not affected. But now we are in a situation that every human being born into this planet is being affected. So that was a time where business had to go drastically online. Many startups had to come in place. Many companies who were doing good, like, let's say, it can be somewhere around 500 crore turnover. A company with 500 crore turnover with no presence in online suddenly goes online. So that is a situation where they have to launch into this platform with less preparedness. And to be a specific case of India, Indian cybersecurity awareness is very less. The ratings for our cybersecurity infrastructure are very poor according to the West, or Western nations. Even many of the companies in India depend on US and European-based companies for their cybersecurity needs. So, our nation is actually fully not equipped into a proper cybersecurity community like how the US and Europe are equipped like. But still, there are organizations like Data Security Council of India, which is an initiative of the NASCOM community. It's an apex body for many cybersecurity professionals and companies, and a lot of advisors or researchers are a part of Data Security Council. They are doing a good job countering these kind of effort and bringing more cybersecurity awareness. And the CERT of India, the emergency response team of India, has been doing a good job in fighting out the cyber attacks happening from China and all these places. It's a good job they are doing. As we look into a country, India has always taken a bit of, even though they are slow, but we can catch up to the situation. That's how the Indian community work. We are comparatively a young nation, so the young power has the real capability of stepping up to the need. So it's happening. It's a good way ahead.
Yeah. So being a cybersecurity entrepreneur, you might have faced tough circumstances at work. How did you cope up with?
See, not just being a cybersecurity entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur itself is the toughest thing that you need to face, because all of us jump into a business scenario seeing that this brings us a lot of money, but that's not the fact. So I never had such an exposure, even though I come from a business family. Like my father is a businessman, but still it's very hard job, because my father used to advise me not to get into business because he knows it's the hardest of the hardest thing to survive with, because we are very much dependent on every market. We are dependent on every conditions, and a single loss can really lose your motivation, and you can shut shop your entire initiative. So it's not just being a cybersecurity entrepreneur, but in all ways it's a risky task. But I have been seeing that the nation, or like the state, has been really going friendly towards entrepreneurship. Our entrepreneurship culture has been slightly improving, or like, let's say, I cannot say it's slightly, it's drastically changing. Our situations are drastically changing. New policies are coming up. Of course there are gaps, but still there are new opportunities coming up. For the first thing an entrepreneur really struggle is the fundraising, because they don't know where to start. They need to get some funds to pay their salaries. So this is what I also faced initially, but we started working with clients who would pay us in advance. With an entrepreneur, there should not be no shame. So with our clients, we asked for 1 year advance. So they were so courteous to pay a 1 year advance to us to kickstart a business. So these are situations like bad times where you have to depend on your clients. They will pay you at the correct time. So that was how I just started it. I never depended on an investor's money. We wanted to bootstrap with Technisign, because the former, all the former companies where we worked, our focus was to gain more investment than more business. But here the focus was to get more into business than get an investor's money. So once we started gaining tractions, people started coming behind us. Okay, we want to invest in your business. It looks good to us. And now when we are speaking, at least I'm in discussion with 10 investors parallelly for raising the first stage of funding. But this is something which I advise to all the young entrepreneurs. Try focusing on your product. Try getting at least one client, not on a paid service, at least on a free service using your product, and show this to an investor. He will really trust you. So this is the first thing. Raising money is the biggest challenge.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next question. So when you decided to start a security related startup, what was your inspiration?
I had seen the security industry, really growing. If you look into the entire Gartner reports, which most of the cybersecurity people follow, the cybersecurity growth is so high, like it's like 10 to 12% every year. So a cybersecurity threat intelligence market, which was like $5.8 billion in 2018, is going to grow to $13 billion in the next 3 years. So that's what. If my figures are right, that's what the market shows. So that's I've been keeping a watch on these kind of market changes, trends, and this is relatively an untapped market. There is a lot of cybersecurity need that is going to come up in next following years. So Even still, the market is not on. It's still it's India is still yet to active on the market, and Asia is comparatively a least penetrated market. Of course, there are conventional products that are being used in cybersecurity industry, but otherwise, this looks like an untapped market. Of course, there are competitions, but the competitions I mean, they have their own place. We have our own place. I mean, everyone can. Now we are in a state where we can be served by, I mean, many clients.
Okay. So we have a next one. So can you share your views on the social engineering attacks that are common these days? Are there any tips that you would like to share with our viewers on securing their social media accounts from such attacks?
See, this is social engineering is one of the most actively used attack vector these days. So it's actually the human being's awareness towards digital platform. That's the much needed thing. You need to have a common sense. You need to know the links that are coming towards you. Just don't click every single click. It's not just with normal users, because we have been seeing case studies where even high level officials, or like, let's say, the government officers being baited using honey trap, using in internet, using this social engineering vector. So anyone can be a prey to this kind of attack. So we have to be very careful. I mean, I always advise that don't believe in what you see in internet platform. It's not just with social engineering attack, but even with the concept of fake news. You don't. I mean, you should not share until and unless you verify the sources, because I mean, people can really work on propagandas. People can really make you fall into different traps, because there is a normal concept which we believe that whatever you see in internet is right. Because even Wikipedia, we cannot rely it on 100% just because it's an open platform. Anyone with a proper citation can re-edit your Wikipedia article and make you believe that misinformation can be passed. So similarly, how do you know that an app that come across to you is a legitimate app? So even if your friends can relatively share a link which says that this link is legitimate, just sign up, it can be a phishing attempt. Then we have been getting reports, or we have been monitoring a lot of phishing links related to major brands that comes on day-to-day basis. And so it's up to the user to be very. We cannot even blame the brands, because brands won't pay someone money and ask them to, do a phishing attack on them. But to be more specific, they are all taking their measures to really counter this kind of phishing attacks. But on the other side, we have to be, as human beings, we need to see the right of the fact, right? Because we need to be very factful. We need to know that this link is not supposed to be clicked. Legitimate, like, let's say, if it's a banking platform, ensure that the domain name is right. Just don't click just believing that an SMS has come up to you saying that this is the link, or someone has asked you to reset your password. Yesterday I was observing a link. I mean, one of my client got a link from Facebook which says that someone tried to reset your password. But he was so sensible enough to check the domain of the person who emailed him, and he identified that it's a spam link. So that's how we have to really cultivate the growth. But unluckily, there are a lot of traction that happens in the internet feed. Even my parents, who are in their mid 60s, are active in digital media platform. I have my own limitations to educate them in whatever link they see. Of course, in future we can expect tools that come up. Of course, Avast, Kaspersky are providing small tools that will really monitor the phishing links and phishing scams. But still, there are a lot of gaps.
No, yeah, that's actually really true, especially in the current situation. What we can say, a lot of pranks, we can say, not only pranks, there are other links as well, or that's mainly used for phishing. Like people usually don't think like what's behind the link. They just see and they just tap a click, and with just one click, the whole information is exposed to the world.
Correct, because even now people fall for the lottery scam that comes from Nigerian hackers. Still, people keep on sending monies to them, even after they know that this is this is actually not a realistic thing. It's a scam. People keep on sending money. Of course, I believe it has nothing to do with technology, but it has more to do with the need of a human being, or like the attitude of a human being towards money. Like if I won a lottery, I just want that, and who knows whether this is right. To be more specific, in Malayalam, we have seen in Salim Kumar movie which says that Inyanganum Lord avada pombol biryani kittiyalo. So this is the attitude of every human being. They expect something will. Sometimes this may work. So I would always advise this: the moment you see someone is asking you to send, like, let's say $100 for the lottery you have won for 1 GB, 1 million GBP, I would say it's a pure scam. It's a common sense. I have to add one more point. Maybe you can ask the police. Maybe our cyber cell, our cyber dom, or the cyber police are super efficient. They are so efficient to track or crack any crime. So why don't you approach them?
Yeah, that's also true. Especially when people do face, they first of all think like, will it be good to approach to the police? Because after all, they might think, yeah, like it may take time. So what this is what actually people think, and they might also avoid thinking like, let it go. Next time we will be aware of such things. So it's really good if you really come across such things. It's better to contact first of all the cyber cell, and then go to the another what we can say face or anything related.
Yeah, one point to add, like, let's say if you have lost your money in a banking scam, like, let's say if someone stole your credit card or debit card and they have withdrawn money, the bank has a policy. There is an RBI policy which ensures that if you register a complaint and if you file this complaint to the police station, the bank is liable to pay back the money.
Okay.
But no, yeah, if you have lost 20 lakh, the bank has to. That's a cybersecurity loss for a bank. If you are reporting the incident within 24 or 48 hours, exactly, I don't remember the name. I think now it's changed to 24 hours.
Okay.
You have the right to claim back this money. It's a banking fraud.
Okay.
So there are laws which through which you can get money. Instead of that, we sit and worry whether we should go for a complaint or whether we should report to bank, thinking that it will be a shaming incident. Just imagine that you lost 4 lakhs and you will say, okay, that's fine. I just only lost 4 lakhs. And that's not the way you have to go. You have to go and meet your nearest police station, or if you are not, if you have any difficulty in making them understand, every SP office in Kerala got a cyber cell. So SP is the nodal officer for that. You can just go there, visit the SP office, give a complaint to SP. And in case of Trivandrum and Cochin city and Calicut city, the commissioners of the police are in charge of this. You can directly go and give that. Okay. They have 3-tier efficient cells. One is a cyber cell is there, then a cyber police station is there, cyber dom is there. Based on the gravity of the issue, the police, the commissioner will redirect this complaint.
Okay.
Even if a girl is being harassed online, there is a provision for Kerala police to identify the individual who is harassing her. Just don't limit. If your silence can make him do multiple crimes, so go register the complaint.
Yeah, that's actually really good, especially as you have mentioned the cyber crimes that have been happening. So that's what people usually think like, yeah, I am bullied now, whether it will be right to approach to the police, because what people will think, that's what community will think, that's what people think first of all, before approaching someone. People think of the community, not themselves, like really when they are affected.
Correct.
Okay, so here we have a next question. The surge in communications and the wholesale shift to operate business online have increased the risk of cyber attacks by an order of magnitude. What was the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on security startups?
See, it's actually a nice time for security startups. Even we are getting a lot of inquiries. We did work with few clients. So security, but in India, of course, security is not a huge concern because there are no cybersecurity laws. Proper laws. So our cybersecurity policy is going to be redrafted in next few months. The Prime Minister has already announced this in his last Independence Day talk, and the Ministry of Electronics and Telecommunication and MeitY is already working on this approach of bringing more laws. Like, let's say for a data breach, there is no legal law in India which can result in a fine. So there is no personal data protection bill is yet to be tabled. So these things will really bring a big shift to the cybersecurity company. So it's not mandatory that you need to have a cybersecurity company on board to take care of your cybersecurity. Even if it's hacked, okay, that's fine in according to the present situation. But there is a huge pressure for well-funded startup from their investors to ensure that, because most of them seek funding from Silicon Valley or SoftBank in Singapore. So and many of them have the investors from foreign countries. So for them, it's a major thing, and many countries wanted to cater to the European market. There is a law, GDPR law is there, so they need to ensure that. So well-funded startups need to ensure that they are keeping up with the cybersecurity spirit. Otherwise, there are many companies who don't even care for cybersecurity. I don't find it as a crime. As a bad thing, but still the awareness need to come. The people still, okay, let's say When we meet many people who really believe that. So what is going to happen if my Aadhaar card is leaked? What if when my PAN card is on a public platform? See, I have nothing to lose. I would have 2 or 3 lakhs in my bank. Otherwise, I'm a very ordinary people. But they don't know the gravity of the crime that can be committed through the misuse of these kind of things, even from terrorism to any kind of scams can be done with all these in details. So that's something that needs to be awareness also need to be stepped up.
Okay, sir. So we are with our final question that I would like to ask. So what tips would you like to give to our budding entrepreneurs?
See, entrepreneurship is a real passion. It has nothing to do with the money what you make. Set small goals. You need to. You can have a big vision, but you need to ensure that you need to come up with small goals. And there are many people who want to step into entrepreneurship, but they say that I don't have money. To all those people, I just tell a story about a small child who was born in Rameshwaram so many years before, and who just became the chairman of DRDO and involved in finding the Raju Kalam stent, and finally becoming the president of India in 2002. And after post his presidentship, he launched a PC which was used by the healthcare industry, which is called as the Kalam Raju PC tablet. So a man with no exposure to the world, he used to sell newspapers when he was a school child, who lost many things during the biggest cyclone that hit in Rameshwaram, who had no exposure, who never had a community like IEEE or for the startups like ASUM or like anything. Where would have Kalamji got all this knowledge? He had to work hard. So working hard is a major thing. You need to really work hard. Don't think money comes easily. There is no money that comes so easily. And if money is coming so easily, I would say that won't last. This is from a personal experience. It may not be the law. Always think about creating values rather than making a massive business of massive scale. You need to have proper value propositions. You need to have a proper idea which really solves a problem. You need to know the market of the product, and you need to have the adaptability. Like, let's say if someone is commenting on the product which says that the product is not good, you need to make such kind of an change. Welcome that. You need to have that mind of welcoming criticism. You will be good innovators, but it doesn't mean that you will be good businessmen. So there is always a concept of a good product and a saleable product. If you are a businessman, look for saleable product, not for the good product. But ensure that you need to bring up with concepts and ideas which can be sold to the world. There are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of funding opportunities. There are a lot of mentorship opportunities. This market is so filled with opportunities. They need to really make the first step, and all other steps will follow. So this is from a pure experience. Keep on working. You may lose. This is the last advice I always give them. You may lose, but don't worry. All these big people who has made their biggest mark have failed multiple times. So I again quote Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. He always says that wear the badge of failure always. Speak about your failures. It's something that will help you to inspire yourself and come up with new ideas and really make massive change in the market, or like, let's say, in this world. So hug those failures. Nothing will happen to you. More opportunities will come. So I have seen many people stopping their business, or like, let's say, closing down their business the moment they do not get a client, or the moment they burn off their investment, or the moment they face a small failure. But it's not, business really matters. Like, let's say, imagine the plight of Infosys, which was started in let's say early 70s or late 70s. What would have happened to them? They did a shutdown on their shop. The initial days were so hard for them. Narayana Murthy raised his first round of funding from selling Sudhamurthy's ornaments, and they begged in front of all their vendors, giving them small equities. They took at least 15 years to become successful. On the other side, startups are becoming successful in next 2 years or 3 years down the line. So success is really hard to come. You need to really work hard. Don't see this flamboyant thing that happens, like hearing that those startup was funded $1 million, so we also want that kind of funding. It will come to you, but you need to work hard. This is the main thing.
So those were really inspiring words from your side. So finally, I would like to thank you for spending your wonderful time for us and providing us a wonderful thoughts from your side. I would also like to thank on behalf of IEEE Pi Kerala section team for being with us. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Akash and entire team. It's great that IEEE is taking such kind of an initiative. Let this be a motivation for more entrepreneurs or innovators to come onto this platform, because IEEE is a platform that many of the innovators look forward. The first thing what we look forward is to watch the IEEE papers that were published by many of those innovators. So it's a really great initiative. Thank you for inviting me. All the
Thank you.
best.
Thanks a lot. This is Akash Nair signing out.